bring in, as promised, Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker Michael Moore. Michael, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Rachel Maddow. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Keith.
There's been a spike in the desire to own guns in Connecticut. Statewide, over 90,000 guns have been authorized for sale. You know how I feel about it.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Good evening, my fellow patriots. It is Wednesday, November 20th. November 20th. Man, we got a special show ahead of you for tonight. You know, we don't have any guests scheduled for tonight, which actually I enjoy. It gives me the opportunity to talk to you, my fellow patriots, my fellow Americans. But we have a lot of things in the news. You know, we're going to be talking a little bit about what's going on over in Japan. I think you guys need to be aware, even though it's not America, but it does affect us. There's some really troubling news coming out of Japan. And we'll talk about that, about the Fukushima nuclear reactor. We'll also be talking about, oh my gosh, it was incredible. I was watching the laying of the wreath today at the Kennedy Memorial, and we'll get into that. We're talking about how this government now has pretty much put the American people on notice that we are no longer in control of our kids, our children. You know, Tennessee father arrested the other day for picking his children up at school. You got to hear this story. If you haven't heard it, it's just unbelievable what we've become. You know, there's a troubling trend going on with America's youths as well. And the fact that mainstream media is not willing to actually report on the true cause. And the fact that we in America have become concerned about being labeled racist for addressing the issue. So we're actually going to have an interview that a nationally respected author has written, an excellent book. So we're going to be talking about that. It's not an interview that he's doing here. It's one that we were able to get. We are working on getting him on the show, but it's just amazing. It's an eye opener. And of course, we'll be taking your calls. If you'd like to join in the conversation, we do have 2 of our hybrid lines up and running. So if you call in at 1-800-580-4870, that's 1-800-580-4870, you'll be able to join in the conversation. We ask that you join in. We ask that you participate. You know, or of course you can always join us on Skype at the Midnight Patriot is our Skype name. So we're going to take a short break here. You know, when we get back, we'll talk about the news. We'll just kind of see where the conversation takes us here on tonight's show at the Midnight Patriot. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That is www.themidnightpatriot.com. You can join us here every Monday through Friday, 9 till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and podcast.
save us from ourselves and our own self-destruction. God only knows we need help. Looking for a hero, someone who cares about the future, not about themselves, but about the idea of America. We need a hero, someone to show us the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We still believe this land of the free is still America. We still believe in the land of the free, and we need a miracle. You know this freedom is anything but free. What we have here depends on those who will fight for what they believe. When we stand together, there's nothing that we can't achieve. This nation of people standing as one in the name of liberty. We need a hero, someone to show us the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We still believe this land of the free is still America. We still believe in the land of the free, and we need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a hero, someone to show us the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We need a hero today. We need a hero,
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Send us an email. Chat with us. We're usually available Monday through Friday during the day, from 9 a.m. until about 3 p.m. I talk to a lot of Patriots throughout the day. I know a lot of you guys are at work, Facebooking. But it's okay, because we're talking about things that actually really matter in today's day and age. But tonight is kind of an open night. No guests, just you and I talking about things that are going on. Now, tonight we're going to change it up a little bit. Normally we don't talk about things that go on in other countries. We have enough problems of our own, get our own house in order before we start criticizing or making opinions about other countries. But this issue that's going on in Japan, Fukushima, is just devastating. This actually is affecting the world. It's just tragic. Utterly tragic. And so we'll talk about that a little bit in tonight's show. Give you guys some information for all you preppers out there. We're going to give you a couple of sites that you need to be monitoring for radiation levels, things of that nature. So we'll talk about that. Every good American prepper needs to kind of watch these sites. So we'll talk about that. Talk about Fukushima. Talk about what you can do to kind of prepare, because it's not going to get any better. Not with the reports that are coming out. We will also talk about this very disturbing trend in America. This game called Knockout. I'm sure you guys have seen it on the news. But there still is a news blackout. There is an ongoing race war in this country in which the news is not reporting on. There are nightly fights, brawls, killings, destruction of property going on across this country from one race against another. And the news isn't reporting on it. We're going to be bringing in an interview that was done at a Detroit radio station with a very well-known author. And I'll let you listen to this interview. It's disturbing. And he has a new book out. And we'll talk about that. The other thing that we're going to talk about is right before I went on the show, I was actually caught the glimpse of C-SPAN. And today they actually had the laying of the wreath at the John F. Kennedy Memorial. So you had President Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama, and Michelle Obama there. And man, we'll talk about that. There were some things that I noticed during that ceremony that we need to discuss. But first, let's take care of a little bit of business here. Tonight's show is brought to you by Mountain View Off-Grid Living. Go to mountainviewoffgridliving.com for all of your prepping and off-the-grid needs. She's a wonderful person. You can actually call her when you call during normal business hours. Actually talk with her. She's got over 30 years of experience. She's pretty much made every mistake that you can make in prepping. I wish I would have known Sue before I went out and bought what I bought. But hey, it's still a great investment. But we're putting our order together for the year. We usually buy a year's worth of food at the beginning of the year. What better way to spend that money that the government has taken from us and used, and so kindly and lovingly given back to us, right? So we take that money and use it to purchase supplies. And I know where I'm going to be going, and that's mountainviewoffgridliving.com. The other thing too is that we're growing. We are growing as a show. We're adding more and more equipment in here to better service you, to get you engaged in the communication. But we're nowhere near being complete. Nowhere near. And we need your help. We will always need your help to grow this show. This is your show. I've always said that I'm just the tracks. You're the train. And there's two ways that you can help us. You can obviously share our shows with your friends, your family. Join our affiliate program. We are going to be producing a set of postcards. You can order those from us with your affiliate link on it. So we're going to help you make money. What better deal is that? So when you become an affiliate, we will have a card printed up, or series of cards printed up for you. You can pass those out promoting our show. If you're a business, not only will we promote our show, but on the cards we will actually put your logo on there as well. So you're, as a business, are getting double exposure. And for every person that clicks or links through the Q code, you'll get a penny. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. Because in a day's time, with about a couple hours worth of work, you can easily make $20, $30. That's how we're going to help you. And along the way, we're going to grow our listenership. Our goal is to get to 5,000 listeners by the end of the year. We're about halfway there. About halfway. And I know it's a very busy time of the season, the holidays. But we can't let up. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep it growing. We got to keep expanding this message. The message of freedom, the message of patriotism, the message of the Constitution and our forefathers. Like Paul Revere, they're coming. They are coming. And we need to get the message out there. So there'll be more details on that to all of our affiliates. So if you're not signed up as an affiliate now, go out to our website, www.themidnightpatriot.com. Sign up as an affiliate. If you're a business owner, let us know. Advertise with us for $10, $6 to $10 a month. You can sponsor a show. Get advertised on our website. Get your products out to patriots all over America. And actually, some patriots in foreign countries. We actually interact quite a bit with individuals in foreign lands. So that's how you can help us. That's how you can help us grow the show. That's how you can help us get the message out. Talking about foreign lands, we talked about this issue that's going on in Japan. For those that don't know, Fukushima reactor obviously was hit by the tsunami. Devastating. Millions of gallons of raw, untreated, nuclear contaminated water is now pouring into the oceans. And there's reports all along the Pacific, the fisheries, all of the agencies, that monitor fish and wildlife are now reporting massive amounts of radiation in the fish and wildlife. Fukushima is making the BP oil spill look like a drop in a huge pond. I mean, it is affecting now fish and wildlife. Now, the concerning part is because they can't get into the reactors, there was an effort this week to try to remove the spent fuel rods. The spent fuel rods. The ones that were, the garbage, not the actual core. And that was postponed because of the elevated levels of radiation. Even in Chernobyl, they were able to encase that core in concrete within the year. Not in the case of Fukushima. It is still exposed. It is still spewing radiation into the atmosphere, and it is still depositing millions of gallons a day of highly radioactive material and seawater into the ocean. Now, I know we have some young listeners, and I know that, we have some older listeners. And there was a movie called The China Syndrome. Remember that movie? And the premise of that movie was if the core overheats to a point to where it's uncontrollable and it melts through the containment, it will literally melt through the earth until it reaches China. Now, obviously, when it hits the Earth's core, who knows what's going to happen, right? Who knows? But the scary part is scientists believe that the core is now only 12 inches from burning through and going into the Earth's crust. Thus, in effect, causing a China syndrome event. When that superheated core hits the groundwater, the explosion, the devastation will be something that we haven't seen ever. The lingering effects will be far more devastating than any nuclear weapon detonated on this continent or this country, this earth. It's a tragic event, and we are all going to suffer from it. We talk about this every Thursday night with Prepper Recon. Talk about being prepared. And we need to be prepared. Those that are on the west coast of this country, all the way into the inland, are now being attacked on a daily basis by radiation from Fukushima. So, don't want to alarm, don't want to scare, just want to notify you that if you're on the west coast, you need to start taking precautions. If you eat seafood, you need to make sure you know where it comes from. You really do. You really do. Now, one of the things that we told you that we'll do is kind of help you is that we did some research. There is a website that all of our listeners need to be monitoring on a regular basis. It's www.netc.com. That's November, Echo, Tango, Charlie.com, netc.com. This is a non-for-profit organization that has sensors. It's a nuclear emergency tracking center. And they have sensors throughout the United States, all around the nuclear plants along the coast. And what it is that they correlate all the data that's being reported by the National Nuclear Regulatory Agency. And they put it together in a graphical interface. So that way you can see it. And they have different levels that you can, they had a RADCON 1, RADCON 2, RADCON 3, RADCON 4, and a RADCON 5 alert. Now, I watch this from time to time, this website, and I will tell you that there are times, even in the United States and the interior parts of the United States, where we will have what they call an A event. That might be a discharge from a nuclear plant. It might be, that we're picking up radiation from Japan. But you need to go out to this website. You need to monitor it daily and just kind of watch it. Today it's kind of tame. We have a couple RADCON 4. That's a RADCON 4 events going on throughout RADCON 3. But for the most part, it's quiet. For the couple weeks I've been watching it, it's been very quiet. So that's a website that you need to be monitoring. Our prayers, our hopes go out for the world that we can get that contained over there. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. When we get back, we're also going to be talking about the Tsunami sensors and probes that mysteriously went offline last week. Kind of raises some questions. So join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com.
They say that the stock market's gonna crash. They say that every single one of us is gonna let down while they walk across our back. But I'ma stand up. I'm gonna put my fists in the air. No, I don't wanna have to bring my guns, but I'll be ready if it goes there. But you can let down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Get what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country and you right now. But I don't wanna. So let's stand up, put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there. 'Cause we're the epitome of what's left of the USA. We're hardworking, honest, and we make our money the good old-fashioned way. But you can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. But get what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country and you right now. But I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. Well, they say that the country's fine with a little hard work and prayer. We can get her back on her feet, 'cause I believe she belongs there. So let's stand her up and brush off the dirt and dust. A lady liberty needs our help from every single one of us. But you can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that tyranny is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Get what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country and you right now. But I don't wanna.
out-of-control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
You're listening to Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us every Monday through Friday live from 9 till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Or on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Join us on Facebook so you can get all the information prior to the show. We're actually putting in a new news server this weekend. What does that mean? Well, unlike other shows where you really don't know what they're going to talk about prior to the show, we will actually post our research for the day up prior to the show. So you have an idea of what we're going to be talking about that night, the evening. But if you'd like to talk, get involved. You can do it one or two ways. You can give us a call, 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. Or you can get us on Skype at the Midnight Patriot is our Skype name. Our chat lines are also open as well, so we'll be monitoring those throughout the evening. So if there's a topic you want to talk about but don't want to get on the air, feel free to shoot us a chat. Now, you have to friend us on Facebook first and use the Facebook friend chat client. That's how you'll reach out to us. And like I said, we're adding more phone lines here in the next coming days. But we do have one already spun up. It's ready to go. But right before we went off the break, we were talking about the nuclear reactor in Japan and how it is literally 12 inches away from burning through its core and going into the crust or into the earth, which at that point, it's lost. It's lost. It will be the worst disaster, man-made disaster in the history of the world at that point. So, as we said before we went on to the break, you need to be watching, monitoring the sites, especially if you're along the West Coast. They've already, like I said, reporting high levels of radiation in the fish. I'm sure it is going to devastate crabbing. One of my favorite shows, Deadliest Catch. I love watching those guys. I love it. I love men being men, right? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with saying that, right? That's the problem with this country. We don't have enough men. We have boys. Kids, boys. Boys who like their toys. We don't have men. We need more men in this country. We need more men. If we had more men in this country, we wouldn't be having what's going on in most of our major cities. This sick game called Knockout. I don't know, for those that don't know, there's a game that apparently the youths of this country, and unfortunately in a particular race of this country, feel the need to assault and to murder, because some of these games have ended up in murder. White women and men. It's happening at an alarming rate. See, in the news reports on the game Knockout, but they're not calling it what it is. They're not calling it a racial attack. You know, if a group of white males walked up to a black male or female and out of nowhere just knocked them out or punched them and watched them fall and then videotaped it and laugh, the race baiters out there would be all over the news. All over the news. But apparently, in this country, we have been so afraid of being labeled a racist that we've completely turned a blind eye to the obvious. We have. Now, I was listening to a nationally syndicated talk host today, and he made a really great point. He talked about the majority of the American people don't want controversy. They're just not geared for it. Because when you're controversial, it's not, I can tell you from experience, it's rough. You know, it's rough being called names, and it's rough being, you know, attacked personally, and it's rough. It is, and it does wear on you. I'm nowhere at the level that these guys are. So I can only imagine at my level, you know, the attacks and stuff. It's rough. So most people kind of shy away from controversy, right? They do. You know, they don't want to be labeled. And I'll tell you, to be labeled a racist is a horrible label. It really is. If it's true. If you truly are a racist, you know, yes. You know. But the problem is that individuals are being called racist because they don't agree with what the president's saying, or, you know, don't agree with the fact that he's, you know, doubled our national deficit, or that he's constantly lying to the American people, that he is constantly attacking our Christian core values. When you call out the obvious, and we stick to the obvious, you're still labeled a racist. So I get it. I understand it. I really do. But the problem is, those that feed on other individuals know that. And so for some sick reason, they have taken our inability to speak our minds, to call out what they truly are. Horrible, vile creatures. Thugs. Things that you normally clean off the bottom of your shoes. because they know that if we say things like that publicly, we'll be labeled a racist. And no one wants to be labeled a racist if they're not, right? And they know that. It is time that we as men, we as patriots, we as citizens, start putting these thugs back in their place. If they don't have a strong family unit, father figure in their home, then maybe we need to become that for them. Who knows? And I'm not saying go into their home and become their father. That's the last thing I'm saying. I'm saying become that authoritarian. When you see a thug acting like a thug, put a stop to it. Don't be afraid. And I know that we live in a litigious society and everybody, but don't be afraid to be called a racist, because you're not. You're a patriot. You're an American. You're a person who's concerned for the well-being of their community. And I think that the movement is growing in such a way now that you would have support legally, financially, if it ever came down to that. But these thugs, these punk, gangbanger thugs, it's open season. You live in a state in which there's a concealed carry. I urge you to conceal carry. I really do. If you're walking down the street and a group of, it doesn't seem like they do it as an individual, because of course, being cockroaches that they are, they come in packs, groups. So my thing is when you see a group of youths, walk away from them. Put your hand on your gun. Let them know. Walk away, walk to the other side of the street. And if they follow you, then do what you got to do, right? Do what your training tells you to do. As a concealed carry weapons holder, you fear in your life for your life, and you defended it, right? I hate to say it, but that's what it's going to have to come down to. Protect yourself, protect your family. Because the fact of the matter is that they think it's a game. They really do. But there are people dying. There's a school teacher who is now dead. There's an individual who's not going home to their family tonight because of these punks. And as they were walking away, they were joking and laughing and carrying on about it. It's time that we, as men, put an end to it. We need to put an end to it. And it's not a stop the violence rally. That's not going to put an end to it. Because as you're, walking down the street doing stop the violence, these thugs are in bed sleeping, getting ready for the next night's attack. No more. Chris Kyle, once said, it's emblazoned on their hats. Violence does solve problems. I'm sorry. If the police, if society is unwilling to deal with these animals, then you need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. Now that means, part of that is avoidance, right? So if you're walking down the street and you see a group of individuals coming towards you, walk in the other direction. Go the other way. Cross the street. If they can't, then put yourself in a strategic position to defend yourself. Let them know that we're no longer going to put up with it. We've seen this happen in Milwaukee. We're seeing it across the cities of this country where people are getting on buses and just beating riders senseless because they're white. They're white. You know, you see it all the time where you have teenagers who feel because they are teenagers can say and do whatever they want to. Now, naturally, a person who just speaking words to you, just ignore them. You know, but if they assault you, then defend yourself. Defend yourself and defend your family. You know. That's why concealed carry is important. That's why. You know. And don't kid yourself. A lot of these young kids want to be like Trayvon Martin. They're rolling dice with their lives. Because if you do defend yourself, there are slews of attorneys who have, you know, these kids think that they're going to sue you. That's what I'm saying is you do have to some responsibility, and you need to avoid the issue as much as possible. But when you can't, you need to defend yourself. Defend your family. And the patriots of this nation will come to your defense as well and your aid. I think we've proven that with the George Zimmerman trial. And that's tragic in itself. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But that still doesn't explain why mainstream media is utterly refusing to report the truth. You know, like I said earlier, if you had a group of white kids flash mob a store and steal everything out of the store, it'd be all over the news. If you had a group of white kids attack a defenseless black teacher or black mother or, you know, black pregnant woman, you would have the race baiters out there marching in the streets. You would have the news covering it. You would have the talking heads talking about we have a race problem in this country. Right? They talk about it now. And to be honest with you, we don't have a race problem in this country. We have a priority problem in this country. We have put way too much priority on things that don't advance our society. Think about it. We spend way too much money on things that do not advance our society and culture. We continually reward the lazy. We continually reward the criminals. And we continually reward the uneducated at the behest of programs that actually advance our culture and our society. Think of the billions, not millions, but billions of dollars that are spent on programs which have no benefit to society. None whatsoever. They keep people in perpetual poverty, and they basically enslave them in financial slavery. Because instead of giving them the skills in which they can go out, earn a decent living, and contribute to society, in turn, we give them money, we give them food and shelter, so that they can then turn around and finance their criminal activities. Right? And I'm not saying that all people that receive government funding or something are criminal. I'm not, but there's a vast majority that are. And if you force those individuals to work and contribute, I think the best thing for crime is get everybody back to work. And why is that? Because I don't know about you, but when I work 12, 16-hour days, I'm too tired to even think about robbing someone, right? Number one. Number two, when I earn my money, I then put value on your money as well, because I knew what it took to get that. I knew the hours that you put in, slaving at work, putting up with the unreasonable boss. I now know that. So I'm less likely to rob and steal from you. That's my crime program. Get people back to work. Get people back to work. The other thing, too, is get people educated. And I'm not talking about Common Core, touchy-feely, make you feel good education. I'm talking about education. Butts in seats, learning. That type of education. You will learn this. There's no basketball. There's no football. There is no baseball. There is no, you're not at school to learn a sport. You're there to learn first, and then after that, you can play a sport, right? But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. When we get back from the break, I have an interview that was done with a nationally syndicated author and also radio show host. And he kind of breaks down the race wars that are going on in this country and not being reported. Not at all. By mainstream media. You got to hear this. It's an eye-opener. He has a great book. Out, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. You can listen to us live every Monday through Friday, 9 till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Our phone lines are open, so give us a call at 1-800-580-4870. Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. All music provided. We got to give a shout out to our friends at Madison Rising. All the music that you hear on our show is actually downloadable at madisonrising.com. Also on Facebook. You can join them there. Type in Madison Rising. Amazon. They do have MP3, iTunes, all of the major audio download sites. Great music, great patriotic music, but all the, I want to let everybody know. Got the MadisonRising.com. Great, just outstanding music. I rock out to it. Who would ever think the Star Spangled Banner would sound so awesome? Of course, Jimi Hendrix obviously owns the original, the original Star Spangled Banner as far as rocking out. But Madison Rising, man, they hit it out of the park. Incredible. So right before we went on the break, we wanted to talk about, we were talking about this game called Knockout, but one of the disturbing parts of it, the game itself is disturbing. Won't go into that. But one of the things that's really disturbing is the lack of media reporting on it, because we're afraid of being controversial and we're afraid of being labeled a racist. Now, obviously we'll sit back and watch other people's misery all day long. We'll watch that train wreck, that plane crash, that thing, but we don't want to be a part of that controversy ourselves. But this is an interview that Colin Flaherty talks about his new book, White Girls Bleed a Lot, and he talks with Daryl Wood in Detroit. Daryl Wood is a syndicated radio show host there in the city of Detroit. So I'm going to bring you the whole interview because you need to hear this in its entirety. It's about 20 minutes long, but you need to just hear this. And then you also need to go out and get Colin's book called White Girl Bleed a Lot.
The number to dial to join the conversation. Joining me now on Run to Win the Daryl Wood Show is journalist and author Colin Flaherty, who is writer, author, researcher of the book White Girl Bleed a Lot. Quote, reading Colin Flaherty's book made it painfully clear to me that the magnitude of this problem is even greater than I had discovered from my own research. End quote. So says Thomas Sowell at National Review. Colin Flaherty, thank you for joining me on this edition of Run to Win the Daryl Wood Show.
An honor to be here.
Thank you, sir. And I want to get right in here because I know that a lot of my listeners have not heard this title and they're not aware of what we are about to talk about. But what we are about to talk about is the return of racial violence and how the media seem to be ignoring it. How did you lock on to this story, Colin?
Well, I was reading stories about the newspaper called it a flash mob in downtown Philadelphia. 1,000 teenagers, they said, were running up and down the streets, beating people up, doing all this stuff, blowing off some steam, said one person. And I don't know, it sounded pretty innocent and harmless. Then I saw a YouTube video of it, and it was 1,000 black people running up and down the streets of Philadelphia, inflicting horrific violence and mayhem on the streets of South Philadelphia. Then I saw it happen again and again, and every time I saw the story in the newspaper was totally different than the YouTube video I would see. And I saw this, then all of a sudden I just started seeing it happen all over the country. And so I documented more than 500 examples of it over the last couple of years, not just the black mob violence, or what I call an epidemic of black mob violence all over the country, but even crazier to me is how the newspapers condone, excuse, ignore, and even deny it.
Well, one of the things that I definitely want to unpack during this brief discussion with you is the fact of how this story has been reported. But what I want to kind of take a little deeper look into with you just briefly is how other journalists are reacting to you as we talk about this interracial violence. On this program, we talked about the incidence of interracial violence in America, and we looked at it from the years 1995 roughly through 2010, 2011, and the numbers were staggering. There were 1,700 incidences of white on black interracial violence, just perusing through that research, while we turned up over, according to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report statistics, over 2 million incidences of black on white interracial crime. Does that seem to square with what you found?
You know, absolutely. Look, in my book, I tell a lot of stories and report a lot of videos. I don't do much with the statistics because the statistics are so incredibly lopsided and they're so transparent and they're so on the surface. It's like, yeah, it's there, you know, whatever, you know, number you want to use, about the comparing the black and the white crime rates, it's 10, 20, 30, 40 times difference between the two. And so that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. I didn't see a lot of people acknowledging that.
Now, where did the title for that book come from, White Girl Bleed a Lot?
Came from Milwaukee, and 2 summers ago, 50 to 100 black people went into a convenience store on video, looted the store, groceries and candy in hand. They went to a nearby park, assaulted 10 white kids. At some point there, a black woman was standing over a white woman. She motioned to her friends, pointed down at the ground, and said, "White girl bleed a lot." They thought that was pretty funny.
And in so doing, that is, these flash mob attacks, and I'll just interject kind of a personal experience with that particular situation. And as I thought about it, I thought, well, I've had at least 2 situations regarding this particular subject. One of them was about 3 summers ago. I was driving through downtown Detroit. And as I was driving, there were some public events going on in the downtown area. But one of the things that I noticed that was not an organized public event was a group of young black teenagers. They all looked like teenagers to me. And many of them in various states of undress, some with their pants hanging around their ankles, others with no shirts on at all, others with their caps tilted askew or backward. They were running through the streets, yelling and screaming, and they were, as it appeared to me, intimidating. And I can't recall whether they were trying to intimidate only white people, but I was in a car driving and I felt intimidated. They ran through the streets from side to side, one side of the street to the other side of the street, yelling and screaming, people banging on windows in buildings, and basically creating a climate of unrest. And I thought, what is this? And then I found some of your articles that started talking about flash mobs. You have a laundry list of these mobs. Let's just talk very briefly about the cities involved and the kinds of incidences, truly criminal incidences, that are taking place. Go ahead.
I documented in more than 100 examples. See, I don't even focus on Detroit. That would be almost too easy. So the thing I'm focusing on the last few months are all the examples that are happening in places you might not expect it. Peoria, Illinois, Greensboro, North Carolina, Springfield, Missouri, Sheboygan, Wisconsin, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, places in upstate New York, lots of places in suburban Detroit. There's just it takes a lot of different forms. But here's my question to you and really to your listeners. How many of them have heard of that example? I had never heard of it. I reported on something similar to that happened at a Christmas party in Detroit, downtown Detroit, last winter. But there's a lot of this going on, and I'm only getting the tip of the iceberg of it.
Why do you think, Colin Flaherty, that the media are virtually ignoring, and if they can't ignore, misreporting these situations?
You know, I don't know. All I know is that it's happening. When I set out to write the book, I wrote the book for the deniers, for the people like reporters who would look at these videos over and over and over and say, Colin, that's not happening, or race has nothing to do with it. And so why they do it, I don't know. We'll send them to a psychiatrist. We'll get one of those guys to tell us why. All I did was show how it's happening over and over and over and over, and that's what I tried to do in the book.
And what have your, shall we say, detractors or skeptics said to you personally? Because I have read in some quarters where some say that you seem obsessed with this particular subject. Your response?
You know, Salon magazine said I was obsessed with black mob violence. I tell you what I'm obsessed with. I am obsessed. I'm not really obsessed with a bunch of criminals running down the street doing what they can because they want and no one will stop them. That's, to me, pretty transparent. What I am obsessed with is the people who can look at that behavior, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of examples of it over a short period of time, and then say race has nothing to do with it or it's not happening. I mean, every day we live in the most race-conscious country in the world. Every day we pick up a paper and read about black caucuses or black churches or black universities. Many of these stories written by members of the National Association of Black Journalists. And, you know, when something like this happens, those are the first people to say, you know, we're colorblind.
Well, you've written about this subject extensively. People can read a lot of the stories, if not all of the stories, that you have written about journalistically at worldnetdaily.com. Worldnetdaily.com. You will find many of Colin's articles on this subject posted there. I want to ask you this. Are you getting any blowback from the book or the articles that you're writing? Are you experiencing any negative responses to what you've written?
No, but, you know, once in a while I'll get some pretty strident responses, but the overwhelming responses from people black and white is they're happy that somebody is talking about this problem without racism, without rancor, and without apologies. I mean, there's a lot of people that are kind of like trapped in this whole situation of racial violence, and nobody's happy about it. But they know that somebody's got to talk about it before we get around to fixing it.
And would you say that that is perhaps the driving force, at least at this point in time, for why you wrote this book?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I don't have any idea how we're going to fix this problem, but I do know that however we fix it, it's going to have to start with us telling the truth about it.
That is precisely the point. Well said. It is a spot-on point. Colin Flaherty, thank you for joining me to discuss White Girl Bleed a Lot and the return of racial violence in America, because we keep hearing people say, particularly on the liberal left, we need to have an honest discussion about race. Well, where's the discussion about this particular situation?
Well, when they say they want to have an honest discussion about race, that usually means it usually means haranguing people about critical race theory and the evils of white racism. That's what the Attorney General meant when he talked about it. And so I'm all ready for an honest conversation, and it has to start with not even starting with me. Let's have it start with the videos of this enormous body of video evidence that exists on this topic. You know, it's funny. Salon will say, and MSNBC will say, well, that's not happening, Colin. But the people responsible for it, they're quite proud of it. They make music videos of it. They post videos of it on their Facebook page and on World Star Hip Hop. They brag about it on Twitter. So, you know, there's not much doubt it's happening, as much as some people might be unhappy that I'm the one talking about it.
And you haven't heard, I would assume, from the likes of a Jesse Jackson or an Al Sharpton or even folks at the NAACP at all about this truth that you are disseminating, I'm sure.
Well, the only thing I heard from him is that after the acquittal of George Zimmerman, it was open season on black men in America from white men when the videos and the crime reports and the reports from police officers tell you it is exponentially in the other direction. Mm-hmm. So I'll keep my phone open for those gentlemen.
Very good. Colin, thank you very much for joining me on this edition of Run to Win, the Daryl Wood Show. We will call upon you again should we need to discuss this issue in more depth and with more examples and details of the things that you've tried to lay out in this book. And in the meantime, I think this is a cornerstone at the beginning of trying to have what we call an honest discussion of race and race relations in America. And I thank you for joining us.
All the best.
Take care. Bye-bye now. That was Colin Flaherty, author of White Girl Bleed a Lot. You may want to get a copy of it and read about what's really going on in America, not just in big cities, but towns across this country. We have heard time and time again, as I said during that conversation, that we want to have an honest conversation about race in this country. It's time to have an honest discussion about racism in this country. Well, let's have it, because we've been having it on this show for the 7 weeks that I have been doing it. I have brought up this issue. I have brought up these statistics. I am now bringing guests to you who are bringing you different slices of the reality of the kinds of discussions we need to have on this subject. I asked a question a while back. Would people in suburban communities really feel it was their obligation to take ownership or responsibility for reaching into cities like Detroit, predominantly black cities like Detroit, and partnering with churches, parachurch ministries, other civic organizations to do something to bring an end to this kind of a situation in our country? What do you think? 866-423-9578. We're back after this break.
There you go. There you go. Interview with Colin on the Daryl Wood Show. So for those that don't know, you know, I wanted to share that with you. Now, Daryl Wood is an African American. His show, Run to Win, is broadcast from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on AM 1500 in Detroit. So I wanted you to hear that interview, because it's not coming from Jeff the Midnight Patriot. It's coming from individuals who are in the community, you know, that are there, that see it and are disgusted by it. You know, we so much criticize individuals or groups of individuals for not being part of the solution. And I just want to say Daryl Wood is definitely part of the solution. The problem is we need more Daryl Woods of the world. We need more talk show people with influence within the community to move these young men and women away from their life of lawlessness and depravity. You know, but the Colin Flaherty, his book, White Girl Bleed a Lot, is going to be on my bookshelf. I will be reading it here soon. And hopefully we'll get Colin on the air on our show as well, because I've got some questions for him in his research. I did learn something, though, that the title of the book, and I do remember that incident in Milwaukee. I do remember that, when that happened. So we'll have to get Colin on the air. We're trying really hard to reach out to his people, his handlers, right? Obviously, he's got a book that's highly controversial, but spot on. Spot on. So I can see why he is in quite the demand. But we have to change. You know, and this president of blame, it's all everybody else's fault, doesn't help. You know. And it's almost to the point where you just go, you know, you look at the president and you say, you're the leader of this country, Mr. President. Lead us. But no, what he would rather do is disparage us. He would rather, you know, degrade us. You know, he talks about the bloggers and the patriots out there and he demonizes us, does he not realize that we are part of the civilized society? That the reason why we are so passionate that we would take time out of our day to blog, to do radio shows, to communicate with people is because we are passionate. You know, trust me, I can list 20 other things I would rather be doing. Not really, I like this. But I'm sure Sandy can give me a list of 20 other things she would want me to be doing instead. But no, I'm here. I'm passionate. We're passionate, Mr. President, about the issues. But see, that intimidates them because people that are passionate typically are knowledgeable. We're not going to just sit there and shut up. We've educated ourselves on the issues. We've done the research. We've read the books. We listened to the experts. And that scares the hell out of them. But that's just the way it is. I want to coin a phrase from the great Paul Harvey, right? But, you know, in all reality, we need to get control of this. We need to, you know, have an honest talk about racism in this country and the fact that it does go both ways. And, you know, the numbers are staggering. I didn't know that from the FBI crime statistics. It's the number of white on black crime versus black on white crime is astronomically disproportionate. Had a feeling, but didn't know the numbers. Well, now I have the numbers. So, just amazing. But I wanted you to hear that interview in its entirety, uninterrupted. We need to do something in this country. We need to do something. We need to become uncomfortable. We need to stop standing on the sidelines watching everybody else's train wreck because we're afraid of getting in our own. Like I said earlier, nationally syndicated talk show host was talking about, for the most part, people hate controversy. That's why they avoid it. But they'll be the first ones there with their flip phones and their Android devices taking pictures of someone else's controversy and misery. It's time that we put the phones down. It's time that us men join the battle, put the phone down, and start protecting each other and those that can't protect themselves. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. When we get back from the break, we're going to be talking about the solemn ceremony today that was attended by President Barack Hussein Obama and the Clintons. We'll also be talking about the tragic events that happened 50 years ago, Daley Plaza in Dallas, Texas, and how the revisionists are trying to rewrite history, trying to cover it up. When we get back from the break, of course, we will honor our fallen, take calls. We're here for you. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com.
I'm fighting for the things that I believe. picked up the mail and saw my second Call of Duty game. I'm fighting for the things that I believe. It's time to go, my country's calling me. And I know walking through that door, leaving with my head high. Set my country through this war, but I'll come back with pride. I love my family, but I'll serve my country, and I'll be the man for the old to those above me. But I'll fight harder, and I won't be martyred, and I'll make it home so all my children know me. And I go walking through that door, leaving with my head held high. I'll serve my country through this war, but I'll come back with pride. And I'll go walking through that door, I'm leaving with my head high. Serve my country through this war, but I'll come back with pride. All my children love me. I'll come back alive. All my children love me. I'll come back
Out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That is www.themidnightpatriot.com. Wow. As we start to wind down here in the evening, we still got a lot of news, a ton of news. I love doing this type of show. It's very little with all the guests that we have on and stuff where I get to actually sit down and just have the chat with you. I can tell you one thing though, our next studio will have a fireplace. We'll have a fireside chat. But it is getting cold here in the Great White North. But it's all right. We will endure. As you all know, we do a segment here to honor the fallen. As long as there are men and women who put in this nation's uniform and put themselves in harm's way, we will always remember you and your sacrifices. Army Staff Sergeant Alex A. Viola, November 17, 2013. Army Staff Sergeant Richard L. Velazquez, November 13, 2013. Army Sergeant First Class Forrest W. Robertson, November 3rd, 2013. If you're an active duty, retired, discharged soldier, and you need help, reach out to the Midnight Patriot. My email address is Jeff, Jeff, at themidnightpatriot.com. We will make sure that you get the services that you need. If it may be disability help, help with financial issues, legal issues, whatever you need, reach out to us. We'll help you get those services. We are tied into a very strong community of service members, people that want to serve you for your service. If you're a family member of a soldier who's lost their life, that has given the ultimate price for our freedom, and you need someone to talk to, reach out to us. Jeff at themidnightpatriot.com. We'll give you a private number so you can talk with us. We will get you the help that you need as well. If it's just being able to talk to someone, we're here for you. We'll put you in touch with various organizations. So you know there isn't a night that goes by that we don't pray for you. A nation mourns when we lose a soldier. May God bless you, and may God keep you and your family. You will always be in our hearts and in our prayers. Wow. You know, we do that tribute every night. Unfortunately, we do it every night. As long as, like I said, there's a soldier on that list, we will read their names. And we do it, you know, per month. If you have a family member, you know, and you want us to pay special tribute, though, reach out to us. Send us an email, Jeff at themidnightpatriot.com. We'll make sure we get them on the list as well. This list is actually provided to us by the United States military. So, and I know that we have a lot of soldiers that we pay tribute that never came home from various wars. Doesn't have to be any modern wars. It could be any war, you know. But, you know, let us know. Give us their name, their rank, their service date, and their last day of service to this country. You know, like I said, we're going to continue to do this. You know, we have several listeners who listen to the show. We have several organizations that support what we do here. We support them out there. And, you know, we all are in agreement. We have 22 soldiers a day who take their lives. 22 a day. That's 22 too many. There's no reason why a country such as ours would allow such a travesty to happen. You know, the average wait time for a soldier to get benefits, medical benefits, is 256 days, or 356 days. I'm sorry. Just shy of a year. That's deplorable. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. And it's unacceptable. It's really unacceptable, the fact that a individual can walk into a social services building and within 30 days get them free medical, get free food, free housing. It's unacceptable that this goes on in this country. And it's something that I am dedicated to put a stop to. We need to start treating our soldiers with the respect that they deserve. That's why I ask you, if you see a soldier in a uniform, go up to them, shake their hands, look them in the eye, stand square to them. Let them know that you respect them, you respect that uniform, and you respect the sacrifices that they and their families have made for our freedom. If you're so inclined, buy them a cup of coffee. Pick up that dinner tab. Let them know. Let them know. Because we're in this fight together, people. We're in this fight together. We need to stand with our fellow patriots, regardless of the orders that they're given and the fact that they've been being trained and brainwashed. Well, they're not being brainwashed, but being trained. There are some that are, but the majority of them are just as disgusted as I am and as you are, my fellow patriots. How do I know? Because I talk to them on a daily basis. They're utterly disgusted about the attack from this administration on their Christian values, this nation's Christian values, and the fact that they're giving training manuals that list Christians as the number one threat, or the main threat against the country of the United States. How disgusting is that? You don't have to go far to see examples of where this administration, this president, has laid out just an incredible attack against our core Christian values in this country. They've eroded our homes. They've destroyed our schools with Common Core, our education. They've attacked and criminalized your religious beliefs. They have forced their evil belief systems upon the churches of this nation. They have listed us as Christians as a threat. Well, we are a threat. So I guess rightfully so. That's probably why they listed us, because we are a threat. We're a threat to their power, because we know that their power is just man. They're just a man. Our true power comes from Jesus Christ, God, our God. So they are threatened. So they got to attack us. They got to attack us in mainstream media, popular culture, the trash that they constantly send to us over the airwaves and call it music, call it entertainment. It's entertainment and music to the wicked, not to the righteous. So, and it's not going to it's not going to lighten up. It's going to get worse. Like what they all say, it always gets worse before it gets better. My concern is that we're just seeing the beginning. They've just dialed it up. They've just basically exposed themselves for who they are and what they believe. And now they're cranking it up. We have a president who admitted nation under God, Gettysburg Address. He admitted it. And of course, then he comes back and says, well, I did my Obama impression. I can't do Obama. I don't want to do, but it's my scholarly Obama impression. I did the scholarly version of it, right? No, you did the wrong version, Mr. President. And to be honest with you, anybody, well, I don't know, most that come out of high school these days probably don't even know what the Gettysburg Address is, don't even know where Gettysburg is, couldn't put it on a map because you're Common Core. But by God, they can tell you where the, LBT, whatever, sign-up center is. Probably tell you where the abortion clinic is. They can probably, tell you where the food stamp, Social Security is. They can probably tell you where that's at, but they can't tell you where Gettysburg's at. Unbelievable. It's sad. It's sad. But there is hope. There's hope right here. The Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. We are bringing together patriots, giving you a voice, giving you a legitimate outlet, bringing together patriots. In the next couple of weeks, we're actually going to be doing some things on our website. I know we've changed our website a couple of times. Well, we're trying to keep up with demand. But we are going to be adding a forums page. We will also be adding an events page. So if you have a Patriot event, a church, or something, you can list that to invite fellow patriots. So that will also be going up on the site in the next couple weeks. Give us a couple weeks. Like I said, we will be producing postcards for all of our affiliates so that they can promote their products, their services, but you've got to sign up in our affiliate section so we can reach out to you, find out about your business. So we'll do a joint kind of co-branding. That's a marketing term. I do listen to my marketing people. A co-branding postcard about the show, and then also your products, your services that you might offer as well. But you have to sign up as an affiliate so we know who you are and we can reach out to you and get all that information as well. But just unbelievable. But let's get to this. Let's get to this president today. You can't go without taking a swipe at him. But really, what's really funny is that this is actually for this president and the one that's probably going to try to run in 2016. Today was the memorial service at the Kennedy gravesite in Arlington. Of course, you had President Barack Hussein Obama was there, probably because he got enough flack from not going to Gettysburg. And then, of course, you had Michelle was there, First Lady. But also that was joining them. It's kind of funny. Also is joining them is former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, former First Lady Hillary Clinton, right? I wish I could describe that. I'm going to describe to you as much as I can, but you got to watch it if you can get it on YouTube or whatever. There's a moment in which they walk up to on the granite right before the tomb before they're given the wreath, where Hillary, you got President Barack Obama, you got former President Clinton standing next to each other, and the wives are flanking them on the outside. I'm going to try to be a sportscaster here. No, I'm going to draw it out with my little tele thing, Well, they're going to go the end round. No. When Hillary Clinton was walking up, there was a moment in which she made eye contact with Barack Obama, President Barack Hussein Obama. I will tell you, there were daggers. If she would have looked any further, the Secret Service would have taken her down. They would have had to. The look on her face is unbelievable. So, you just got to ask yourself, what are I know what the secrets are. I've been told what they are. I'm just waiting for them to hit mainstream media. We try not to, report things here unless we got confirmation. But I can tell you, it starts with a B, ends with an I. You know, this president threw her under the bus. She had something to do with it too. She's culpable in it as well. The problem is in her ability to be or her attempt to be a statesperson and a politician instead of coming out and telling the truth, which is what she probably should have done. She, came up with the famous lines which they're going to bury her with, which is what difference does it make? Right? What difference does it make? That's what's so amazing is these politicians. I don't understand these people, supposedly intellectual people who are willing to fall on their sword for this president. Now, I'm just telling you, Hillary, I don't want to see you in the White House. I can tell you that right now because I got issues with you. But I'm going to give your campaign a little advice here. Here it is. Write it down. Kind of like your husband. If he would have been truthful, I didn't know I had sex with that woman. If he would have been truthful, even though he's was a popular president, he probably would have had more respect from the American people. So I'm just telling you, Mrs. Clinton, if you come out and you really tell what happened with Benghazi, there might be, and if you do it soon, there might be a chance for you. But as long as you keep it hidden away, it's eventually going to come out because people that know. And what they're doing is they're waiting for you to get, because like I said, we are a forgiving nation. And they know that. The people that know this. And if they release the information too soon, I'm helping you out here. I really am. Because you're ultimately your information that we know. If you release it, it will maybe speed up this process of getting a new president a little bit quicker. But if you come out and just be clean with American people, tell them what actually happened over there. Tell them that. You might have a chance. But if you wait until the presidential run, they're going to bury you with it. They're going to get you deep into the campaign. They're going to have you spend your money, get your hopes up. You're all going to be giddy thinking that you're going to win. And then they're going to bury you with the truth. And you know the truth's out there. The old saying, tell the truth, set you free. It's out there. It's out there. So that's what's so funny is that you actually think that it's not going to be released to the American people. The real truth behind Benghazi. Just giving you a little bit of advice. But the reality of it was amazing. Like I said, if she would have flinched, kind of like did that flinch, they would have had, Secret Service would have had to take her down. So you got to watch it. You got to watch the interactions. And then you also got to watch the interactions afterwards. This president played the race card on President Bill Clinton. But we had Bill Clinton on an interview that he did earlier last week where he said that this administration called him played the race card on him. So there's no love lost there. This President Clinton, basically, it's kind of, stop lying to the American people. When he does that, it's, when he tells Barack Obama, stop doing it. I don't know. But it was interesting to watch. And then after the laying of the wreaths, they basically went their separate ways. Of course, the Kennedy family was there, and they paid their condolences and such. But there was no uniform front there. None whatsoever. Got to watch the video. You know, Hillary Clinton, the supposed states person, was it was pretty comical. You know, talking about the Kennedy Memorial, the Kennedy assassination, for all those that don't know, was on November 22nd. So that's coming up. But as we reported earlier, the revisionists have already started. You know, there is a X. It was placed there about 10 years after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, where he was supposedly shot, killed. Well, he was shot and killed, but not, you know, I'm a firm believer that there was more shooters. I'm a firm believer that there was, you know, a cover-up. I'm a firm believer that our government had a lot to do with it. I'm a firm believer that President Bush Sr. was there. I'm a firm believer that, you know, maybe we'll talk about that movie, that documentary. You know, his days in the CIA, which he was never in the CIA, is what until he became during that time, but we have proof that he was. You know, we'll talk about that. But at a later date. But let's talk about the revisionists. There is an effort right now. There is an X right where the president was assassinated, or the shot that killed him. You know, where it happened. Well, right now, on the 50th anniversary, this is not, you know, they didn't do it a week before, they didn't do it a day. They are out there in the middle of the street, jackhammering the street up, taking that X off of the street. Why? Is it because the revisionists are trying to rewrite history? There are curb where some of the bullet strikes happened, where some of the bullet strikes have happened. They're actually replacing those curbs, rewriting history. That's akin to going to Abraham Lincoln's deathbed. I had the pleasure. I've actually been to Washington, D.C., and I've also been to Dallas. So I've seen both areas, and it's hollow ground. But that's akin to going to Washington, D.C., and going to the house across the street from Lincoln. There, you can still go there as a tourist, and you can actually see the bed, and you can see the pillow with the bloodstains of our late President Abraham Lincoln. So by them removing the X and changing the curbs and doing all that stuff in Dallas, the revisionists have taken hold. They're trying to rewrite history. So like I said, that's like going to Washington, D.C. and washing the pillowcase. You know, we're under attack here, America. We are. We are completely under attack by those that want to control us. They no longer want us to think. They want to remove all American essence. You know, they've taken our national parks away from us, calling them, UNESCO is calling them heritage sites, United Nations heritage sites. Now they're attacking the Alamo. They're going to make it a United Nations educational center. The things that make our country, that are core to our psyche as a nation, are now being removed systematically. Of course, it was only a matter of time before they tried to take over the Alamo, because that is the epitome of stand your ground. To the last man, we defend our nation, our country. So of course they want to take that away from us. They want to turn it into a United Nations educational center, heritage site. They want to take what is American, Americana. They want to turn it into a worldcana, or whatever it is, right? It's sad. And now they're doing it in Daley Plaza with John F. Kennedy. Right there. They're removing the X. They're replacing the embankment there, the curb where a round came off, ricocheted. Actually, there was another individual. Listened to an interview with him last night. I got to get his name and maybe I'll find the interview. There was a third person that was actually shot. He caught a fragment of the round. It hit him in the cheek. But of course, they don't want him to testify because the way it hit him in the position he was standing, that ricochet wouldn't have come from the book depository. And the curb in which the round struck is the one that they're replacing right now, which would clearly show the markings of a round coming from the other direction. Right? But hey, we got to trust our government. We got to trust them. No. I think with what we've seen, the shenanigans of this current administration, and this administration has dialed it up quite a bit. Don't get me wrong. Don't think I think otherwise. But governments lie to their people. They deceive. The great deceivers, right? Governments do that all the time. It's just that this administration has just made it a standard practice. A standard practice. But, more and more, as we get more and more distance from those events, we're celebrating the 50th year of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. But as we get further and further away, the documents are coming out more. People that are on their deathbed who are part of the conspiracies are starting to talk more because they don't care about prosecution at this point. It's just amazing. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That is www.themidnightpatriot.com. If you want to join the conversation, we do have one line on our 800 number. It's 800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. Or you can join us on Skype at The Midnight Patriot is our Skype name. When we get back, we'll kind of wrap things up. We got more news to discuss, more topics, and we'll just kind of cruise into the evening.
After Daniel Pearl was kidnapped and murdered in Pakistan, his family and friends came together to work towards a more humane world.
A foundation was formed in Daniel's name to promote cross-cultural understanding through journalism, music, and innovative communications.
On Daniel Pearl Music Day, thousands of people around the world will unite to promote harmony for humanity,
carrying on his mission of connecting people through words and music.
Join us in using the universal language of music to diminish hatred,
respect differences,
and reach out in friendship.
We invite you to perform, support, or attend a Daniel Pearl Music Day event in October.
Participate in Daniel Pearl Music Day, promoting
America. Welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money. Always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the American...
Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
At this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends. I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and visit.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us every Monday through Friday live from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Or on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That is www.themidnightpatriot.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. You know, we're not going to spam you. We'll only send you information that's pertinent to the show. Kind of let you know what we're going to be talking about. We do have a new news server going in to give you a little bit more timely updates of the shows that we're going to be doing in the evening. You know, going back, talk about, Washington D.C. and the tragedy there. Some will say that was when America started its decline. It's, people couldn't believe the government anymore. Vietnam was raging or, starting. The military industrial machine was taking hold. One thing a lot of people have not drawn the correlation between the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln and the assassination of John F. Kennedy was the fact that both of them were proponents of eliminating the Fed. Lincoln went so as far as coining under his rights as the president and under the Constitution, coining his own coin to pay the debts of the Civil War. And of course, he was assassinated. John F. Kennedy was highly critical of the Federal Reserve and was actually looking into possible replacements or alternatives, fiscal alternatives. And of course, he was assassinated. Just some correlations there for you to think about. But on the 22nd, we'll actually do more for Kennedy on the show. But right now, as we roll into our third hour here, we still have some other news that we need to get to. Talk about disturbing. There's new reports out there now. This actually came off of ABC. There is a video of known terrorists, Al-Qaeda terrorists. FBI has been surveillancing these gentlemen here in the United States in Kentucky for a while. They have videotape of them handling high-powered weapons in a storage locker in Kentucky. Our government knew they were here. Obviously they were videotaping them. I know they're going to say, well, it's part of an investigation. Well, the reality of it is, if you can videotape them, you should have been arresting them. How do you kill cockroaches? You kill them. How do you get rid of them? Keep them from multiplying, keep them, because that's the problem. You have trained Al-Qaeda operatives in the United States. What do you think they're doing? Obviously, they're planning an attack, but on top of that, they're recruiting and training. They're creating more cockroaches. So, it just amazes me, our federal government, how it's, how it's corrupt. How it's corrupt. But of course, obviously, there's a plan. Kind of like Fast and Furious. There's a plan. We're going to allow them to buy these weapons. Well, we're going to get them all. We're going to wrap them all up, and we're going to, how did that turn out? We have a dead Border Patrol agent, and probably thousands of dead Mexican citizens because our government allowed the illegal transfer of firearms. If you know an individual is a terrorist in this country, a true terrorist, don't videotape them. You send in the Jack Bauers of the world and you wrap them up. You don't videotape them. But apparently our administration videotaped them. And now it's coming out that it's suspected that there's about a dozen terrorists. This administration approved visas for over a dozen terrorists. Yeah. And now this wouldn't have come to light if it wasn't for a Freedom of Information request by ABC. These videos. You got to watch them. It's disturbing. Utterly disturbing to know that our government, but hey, I wonder what the next big attack is. The next government-sponsored big attack against the American citizens. So that way the government can say, well, we need this control grid. We need to be able to look at your emails, your telephone calls, we need to know how fast your car's going. You not hear that? National Highway Transportation Safety Board is putting a proposal out right now that all future cars in the near future will have sensors in them in which they can track the car, tell the speed, and also the location of every car. Yeah. So I'm wondering how these 12 or so terrorists fit into that plan. I don't know if you guys remember the Oklahoma City bombing. Well, I don't know how you could forget it, right? Author Jayna Davis, Jayna Davis, wrote an excellent book called The Third Terrorist. In her book, she actually outlines how the Bush administration after the Iraqi war, the first war, Gulf War, approved visas for some of Saddam Hussein's Republican Guard to come here. And so what they did is, of course, well, we're not terrorists. We need visas. Need to get away. So what they did is they infiltrated our country. Now, of course, the Bush administration isn't going to admit that, because then, of course, they admitted they didn't check the backgrounds of these terrorists. But, of course, maybe some theorists, I'm just throwing this out there, that maybe that was intentional. Because look at the amount of control that this government now has over its people because of supposed terrorist attacks. Well, they're terrorists, but they, finding out more and more every day, the government knew about it. The government wrote articles about it, gave briefings about it. But then, of course, when they're asked about it, they deny it. But then when the documents are produced, they stumble on their words, right? So it's not just this administration, it's this government that doesn't have our best interest at heart. But they use those attacks to ratchet up the surveillance grid against us, the command and control, the ever invasive intrusions upon our personal lives and liberties. Can't go to the airport now without getting, groped, getting your junk put on a video camera. Can't do it now. They're talking about you can't go to the airport without having to first prove that you're not a criminal to begin with. Biometric scanners are putting you in a pod. You walk through a pod, the door shuts, and, they do a background check on you right then and there. It's only a matter of time before it comes to a mall, before it comes to a train station, So there you go. But yeah, this is nothing new. Oklahoma City bombing. You need to read the book. It's called The Third Terrorist, talking about one of the individuals that was there that's on videotape is reported Iraqi Republic Guard. Supposedly is the one that brought the bomb making expertise. Highly recommend you read the book. Actually, I need to dust it off, and I need to probably read it to kind of refresh my mind. Read it years ago. But, so our government has a history of doing that. So, you got to ask yourself, why did our government allow 12 known terrorists into this country? Why did our government allow 12 known terrorists into this country to have high-powered firearms, weapons? A lot of people, want to blame the ATF for that. That's not actually the ATF. That's the FBI. When you get a background check, that goes to the FBI, not the ATF. And they supposedly have everybody's records. And if you're if you're a foreign national, they do a pretty, well, they should be doing a pretty extensive background check. So you got to ask yourself, why? Why? Why are they allowing it to happen? What is going to happen in the next couple of months or weeks or maybe another year that these individuals are going to be tied to? Are these the next airline students, right, that the FBI knew about? So you got to ask yourself, why? Now, we reported on the show, so this is nothing new, or should be nothing new to our listeners out there. We actually our numbers were a little bit lower, though. We were talking about 20 million. Well, it is now reported that over 50 to 100 million people will lose their insurance in the next coming, in the next fall. And the reason being is because of the mandate. They drop you before the mandate kicks into effect, then they're not required. And then, of course, they don't hire anybody, companies, corporations, when I say they, don't hire anybody unless you got insurance. There you go. And they're going to do it right before the midterm elections. Oh, how lovely. How lovely. Maybe corporations finally waking up. Maybe they're going to make it uncomfortable. Because, corporations would rather have a GOP in the office than a Democrat. Because this president has not been, even though he's accepted their money, slapped them on the back, he really hasn't been good for American business. So maybe the corporations, his masters, right, are going to affect a little change of their own against the Democratic party. So that's coming down the pipe. So we're looking at 50 to 100 million. I'm telling you, as I sit here, mark the day, we are going to get a bill introduced, the National Emergency Healthcare Law or whatever, where basically all these individuals that don't have health care, can't get health care, can't get signed up for Obamacare. Oh, and by the way, the site still doesn't work. You see that where Cerberus tried to demonstrate the site and it crashed again. Today, yeah, she was doing a press conference, trying to enroll someone in the site. And of course, it crashed. But going back to my earlier, you're going to see a national law. It's coming. Mark it in your calendars. I know how these guys think. I read the book, Sal Alinsky, Rules for Radicals. They're going to have all these individuals that can't get health care insurance. Well, the government created the problem, so they're going to come in there as the loving, caring, nurturing government that they are going to fix the problem by giving all these people supplemental insurance, which is what they wanted to do all along. After they have extracted billions of dollars from the U.S. economy and paid off all their cronies. We did the math. The total charges that they're doing, they could have given every man, woman, and child $10 million to go get their own insurance and saved $1 billion or so over what they paid. It's astronomical. It's unbelievable the amount of money that has been extracted from the taxpayers and given to donors for a product that doesn't even work. It doesn't even work. Even if it worked, it would be astronomically, insane. But this product doesn't even work. And still doesn't work to this day. So that's coming. But 50 to 100 million individuals are now going to lose this fall their health care. Of course, the insurance companies are starting to get tired. They're starting to get tired of being criticized as a bad guy in all this. They were following the law. They were told their policies were not compliant. They needed to eliminate them. So now the insurance companies are starting to put because their financial future's online as well, on the hook. They're losing customers. They're losing millions. So they're actually saying, just come with us and sign up with us here. We'll do all of the work. You don't even have to go to the healthcare.gov site. We'll do that. So now the insurance companies are actually, I'm waiting for the insurance, Saturday Night Live skit coming out. But they are starting to produce advertisements telling people to just avoid the healthcare.gov site and just come to them directly and do that. Here's a great spend of money. HHS plans to spend up to $7 billion to find ways to reduce cost in healthcare. So wait a minute. That's akin to me paying some CPA to tell me how, not pay like a few $100s, but pay, $100,000 to a CPA to tell me how I can save money on a house that I paid $50,000 for, right? It's extraction of wealth. It's redistribution. The problem is they're redistributing it to their corporate cronies because they need to have those corporate cronies so they can get elected, so they can get the ungodly amount of money that they need in order to get out there on popular media so they can get elected. That's all it is. The problem is, this government is a government of the haves and the have-nots. The problem is the haves-not in this case are the major corporations. They don't have enough. They have not enough of our money. So this administration is going to give $7 billion to HHS so that they can hire a lobbying firm or some other company that's probably got political, well, not probably, it's got ties to the administration. So they can give them that money and they can say how they're going to save money in healthcare. $7 billion. Well, here you go. Why don't you take $7 billion and save healthcare? You know, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know, talk about healthcare, Obamacare. You know, they're talking about passing that law, the rule that, you know, that the politicians, and we talked about it briefly last night, where the politicians would have to be on the same Obamacare as we would. Well, as they would. I'm not signing up for it. So what do the insurance companies do? No, they actually create a special department within the insurance company to handle all the politicians. They know where their bread's buttered. They know that without the extraction of wealth from the American people via the IRS and the government, the insurance companies will go broke. So they gotta pay their servants. You gotta pay the ones that actually make them money. So insurance companies are creating websites and special concierge-like services for these politicians and their employees. So even if they do pass the law, they're still not under the same healthcare system. They're not going through the same logistical paperwork nightmare and disclosure of information that we go through. They're going to get the white glove treatment. I got a white glove treatment for them. I like to use it and smack them across the face with it. But it's crazy. You know, this really, really goes into what's wrong with this country. We've completely lost our compass here. Parents are now being told that they don't have control of their children. Obviously, we see a lot of parents don't have control of their children by these kids that are playing the knockout game. But the reality of it is you have a father who goes to school to pick up his child and is arrested because he didn't follow the rules. Now, you know, we're going to take a break. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk about this case. This is unbelievable. We also have the video of it. But it's utterly unbelievable that this is what this country has become. That we no longer, when you drop your children off to their schools, you are no longer the parent. You're just a donor. Because the school is going to indoctrinate your kids. You no longer have say-so in your children. You have, you know, it's unbelievable. You know, just just insane. You know, a father goes to pick up his child and he gets arrested for it. You know, and I watched the video and I've actually read the documents. It's just completely incredible. But of course, you know, with Agenda 21, we're the servants, they're the masters. You know, we talk about Common Core. We actually have the documents. For the past 4 years, many school systems are actually hiding the outcomes of Common Core. The Common Core curriculum. It's not as rosy as they think, but it's working wonderfully, sarcasm, for the Agenda 21 crowd. It's doing exactly what it was intended to do. So when we get back from the break from that, we'll also talk about that. You know, on the note of Agenda 21, mandatory roadblocks where they're taking blood and saliva from individuals. The destruction of a family's garden that they've had for 17 years because it goes in violation of the sustainable living, Agenda 21. So when we get back from the break, you know, we'll kind of wrap up the show with our, we'll talk about Agenda 21. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. You can listen live every Monday through Friday, 9 to 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. We also are available for chat during the normal business hours during the day. You will be talking with me, the host, Jeff Norton, on Facebook. We still got many things to talk about when we get back from the break. So hang in there. Listen to us pay some bills here. And then when we get back, we'll talk about Agenda 21, father being arrested in Tennessee, and many other things as we wrap up the evening.
10-year veteran of the NFL.
And I'm Captain Mark McNeil, 16-year veteran of the Army National Guard. Whether on the playing field or the battlefield, you must be both physically and mentally fit.
If you're injured, you owe it to yourself and your teammates to get back to peak performance. It doesn't matter if you've got a broken bone, depression, a traumatic brain injury, PTSD, or another psychological wound.
Getting help shows strength, not weakness.
To find out more, go to realwarriors.net or call.
Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends. I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving children.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. Right before we went off the break, we talked about this father being arrested. But before we get to that, got to give a shout out to one of our sponsors. Mountain View Off-Grid Living. Go out to their website, mountainviewoffgridliving.com. Talk with Sue. They have everything that you need as a prepper. Food, supplies. They have a stove that I'm saving up for. As we get our mobile command center up and running. They have the ProPure water filtration system. Food, supplies. They are putting together a bug out bag for those that don't want to go out and get their own. When they listen here at Prepper Recon. Talk about Prepper Recon. He's going to be joining us again tomorrow. So it'll be Thursday. Man, the week is going by quick. It'll be Thursday, so Prepper Recon will be joining us to talk about all things prepping. But give Mountain View Off-Grid Living Give them a call. It's mountainviewoffgridliving.com. Speak with Sue during the day. Like I said, she's got over 30 years of prepping experience. If there's a mistake to be made in the prepping, she'll probably let you know. We've already had some conversations, some mistakes I had. But getting back to the news. Tennessee father. I watched the videos. Sometimes, when you hear these videos, you're like, yeah, there's something else going on. Something else is going on. I actually watched the video. So what it is that he goes to the school. If you have kids in school, you know the policies. You pick up the kids. They're not riding the bus. You drive up. The teachers or the teachers will put them in the car. Make sure they get in the right car for obvious reasons. I understand that. Well, this gentleman actually walked to school to pick up his kids. They're going to walk home. Wouldn't Michelle Obama be so proud? Get moving. Remember that? Gonna walk to school, pick his kids up. He goes into the school. There's a CSR. These CSRs are actual, police officers or whatever that are put there in the school system. So the father is signing out his daughter with the school, following that paperwork. They're videotaping it. So you can go out and, you can go out there and say, just Google, father arrested picking up school from children. Or picking up children from school. Honestly, officer, I'm not trying to take me home. No, I have not been drinking. This is getting late. So he goes there, he fills out the paperwork. Well, the CSR, the police officer there, is threatening because he's not following the rules. Because the rules say you got to pick up your kids in a car. Can't walk to school. You got to pick them up in a car. Well, the father doesn't have a car. He walked to school to pick up his kids. But of course, Barney Fife, rules are rules. Got to follow rules. When did common sense leave this? Well, I know what common sense left this country. That's a stupid question. That's rhetorical, right? But that tells you how crazy this country has gotten. So, of course, this gentleman gets arrested for disorderly conduct because he's there to pick up his kids because he walked to school. And now he's going to go to jail. So I guess my question is, who picked up his kids? Where's the logic in that? So you arrest the father because he's there. He walked to school to pick up his children, so his children will be there and, get home safely. You didn't drive up. Is that discriminatory against people that don't own automobiles? Oh, everybody's got to own an automobile because they got to track you, according to the National Transportation Safety Board. Got to put trackers in the car. That's coming. That's a recommendation. It's only a matter of time before you just get tickets in the mail because you were speeding because they were tracking you all along. Or you got to pay a higher tax because you drive more. But that's, we'll talk about that. That's all part of Agenda 21, by the way. So this father goes to school, picks up his daughter, his kids, fills out the paperwork saying, I'm taking my kids. I'm the parent. Does all that. It's all on the video. And, of course, he doesn't become belligerent. The only person that's belligerent and disgusting and despicable in the thing is the cop, the police officer. But rules are rules. When did we lose common sense in this country? So they arrest the father, haul him off to jail, and, so I'm just wondering who picked up the kids. Really. I'm wondering how the kids got home. Sad. We've completely lost our minds in this country. Common sense out the window. I hope he sues. And I hate to say it, I hope he makes, millions of dollars for false imprisonment, and all the other things. I hope he does. And I hope this police officer that did it has to pay the bill. But, of course, he never does. Of course, I was just following the rules. I had the rules, Barney Fife. It's unbelievable. Just unbelievable. I mean, our educational system, it doesn't take you long to realize. I've got a daughter that's still in elementary. My oldest one graduated. Proud of her. Did 2 years in the same year. That's incredible. Think about it. She went junior and senior year, same time. Can't find a good job though, because of the economy. Kind of told her she was rushing it, but that's her decision. Gotta let them kind of. You only guide them so much. When they get to a certain age, you got to kind of let them make their own mistakes. Still proud of her. I think it's pretty cool. Graduated. Junior, senior year. So. But it's just unbelievable. But, you know, you got kids in school. I got it. My youngest daughter is still in school, and I hear the stories. You know, she's a rebel, though. She tells me. She stands up for her rights. You know, she does. To a point. You know, of course, you know, they threaten her with scholarships and stuff, but not yet, but I'm sure that's coming. But yeah, I hear these stories that she has to do. I've seen the paperwork, the homework that she has to do. It's Common Core, 100%. Unbelievable. You know, we talk about Common Core quite a bit here. Well, the truth is finally coming out. Well, it's not coming out. It has to be requested through legal means. They are finding out that school districts, you know, the United States actually is sliding in the rankings of educational systems. But that's all part of Common Core. So you got to understand, you know, you can no longer have exceptionalism. See, it's all about making everybody equal. You know, your kids go play a sport, well, everybody gets the participation trophy, right? I was watching a movie not too long ago where they're playing baseball, and, you know, baseball stays up there the whole time until he actually hits. Everybody wins. They don't keep score. Pretty funny movie. Can't think of the comedian that was in it, but it was hilarious. It's all about this touchy-feely crap. You know, raise kids to be passive, to be manipulative in the sense that they can be easily manipulated by others, government, people of authority. It's amazing. But now they're finding out that test scores, because of Common Core test scores, you know, basic test scores are actually pummeling. And they've suppressed that information from the families, from the parents and stuff. Because, see, the goal of Common Core is not to educate your children, it's the indoctrination of your children. That's the number one goal of Common Core. It has nothing to do with teaching you math, because, you know, here's a great example of that. You know, when you have a Common Core teacher who's teaching other teachers about Common Core, will stand up there and say that 1 + 2 does not equal 3 anymore. They don't grade on the correct answer. They grade on your ability to BS your way to an answer. Well, if that was the case, Jesus, I'd be a PhD by now. I mean, you know, no, when I went to school, you know, 1 + 2 did equal 3. You can BS all you want to, but, you know, it's like, I think of my teacher, Miss Oma McNabb. God rest her soul. Yeah, I loved my teachers in high school. You know, Mrs. Tipton, God rest her soul. You know, Oma McNabb. I mean, it is, but, you know, BS all you want to, but as long as the answer better say 3, right? But that's what Common Core has become. It has nothing to do with, you know, the actual answer. It has everything to do with make Johnny feel good. Well, actually, it has everything to do with the indoctrination. It's not education anymore. It's indoctrination. Kids are now taught, because of Common Core, not in the hard sciences, But in the soft sciences, they're taught about, and some would say, well, that's a good thing. Well, no, it's not, because you're teaching them that to manipulate them, not to educate them. You know, teaching them how to feel good. Well, you know what? Sometimes you need to feel bad, because if you feel bad long enough, maybe you'll do the things that make you feel good. Maybe you'll wake up. You know, it's worked for alcoholics and drug addicts for years. Got to hit that bottom. When they hit the bottom, they either decide to, what do they say, cover up? What is it, sober? They either get sober, they get locked up, or they're covered up. Right? I don't know. So, of course, now we have the manipulation of the educational system, which we knew it was all along. But what do you expect? Because you're dealing with individuals that say it's okay to say that 1 + 2 does not equal 3. It can be whatever number you want to, as long as the intent, as long as you can go, well, I'm supposed to get the answer. If I add these two numbers together, I get an answer. Well, what's the answer, Johnny? Well, it's 11. Oh, good job. That really, that's sad, but it's true. That's what Common Core is about. If you don't believe me, go read it. Go on our on our website. We have links to books about Common Core. It's unbelievable. They're more fascinated about your parents' political beliefs than they're asking 4th and 5th graders about, their parents' political beliefs. Why? They're asking junior high students to rewrite the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Why? Why? They're telling them that the Constitution and Bill of Rights is no longer applicable. Even if you go to the United States Senate's website and you look at the Second Amendment, because some of them disagree with it, they're going to say, well, it's up for discussion. It's up for... No, it's not. It's pretty crystal clear. You might not understand it because you're a Nimrod. But I understand it perfectly. Unbelievable. Here you go. Sustainable living, Common Core, or not Common Core, Agenda 21. Florida City uproots couple's 17-year-old garden over new ordinance. So they passed this ordinance. And you ask, well, what is that? What does sustainable living have? Well, probably because of land use. You no longer have property rights in this country. The government can come in at any time and pass an ordinance, and they remove your property rights. You only own, I don't even know if you own what your house sits on, but you don't own what's 3 or 4 inches below that. They can come in and take your land, and if there's natural resources there that they want, they can take it. But here you go. Here's a family that was told that they need to uproot their 17-year-old garden. They had a garden for 17 years. They were told that they need to do it because of the new ordinance. Then if they were told that if they didn't do it, they'd have to pay a $50 a day fine. Agenda 21, there's a lot of evil things in there, but one of the main things about it is you don't have personal property. You don't have property anymore under Agenda 21. It all belongs to the powers that be, the government, the all-powerful government. That's what this country's become. That's what this country's become. And of course, the members of the Agenda 21 don't like us to begin with. So of course, they're going to attack us. They don't like our way of belief. How dare we question them? They know what's better for us because they're so much smarter. But I'm wondering if they got that way, if they were able to get through school not knowing how to add. That, well, they are politicians, so I guess BS is a standard norm or quality trait that they need to have. So, wow, what a night. It's unbelievable. lot of news. Tomorrow we're going to have Prepper Recon on, talking about all things prepping. Probably have Sue on from Mountain View Off-Grid Living. It'll be a pretty jam-packed show. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. Join us every Monday through Friday from 9 till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, or on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That is www.themidnightpatriot.com. Make sure you follow us, like us on Facebook, get the word out. Tell your friends about us. Sign up for our affiliate program if you haven't done so. Earn a little bit of extra money, especially right before the holidays. We pay out every 2 weeks. So those that have signed up will actually get some payments in their PayPal accounts here. Our way of saying thank you. But all the details are on the web. We are going to, if you're a business and you want to do a cross promotion, we will print up little postage cards with Q codes on there, so individuals with cell phones can scan those in, and it'll help promote our show and also help promote your business. But you have to be a member of the affiliate program in order to do that. So we highly recommend that you go out and do that. We do have some members that are just tearing it up right now. The other way that you can make money through the affiliate, of course, is when you post on your blogs, that you go out to post comments and stuff. If you put a link to your affiliate ID, when people click on that, it'll go. I mean, I can tell you, I did that, paying myself almost $10 a day right now. So, but until we talk again, my friends, my fellow patriots, may God bless you. You will be in my prayers. We'll get together tomorrow night. We'll talk about Prepper Recon. Join us tomorrow during the day. You chat with us during the day. Love to hear what your thoughts are, topics that you want to talk about, things that, if you want me to ask Prepper Recon specifically. Join us on Facebook. You'll see us pop up there, and then just chat with me. But until we talk again tomorrow, my friends, good night, and may God bless you.